James Harden is one of the best players in the NBA and one of the best-known shooting guards of all time. NBA's 2018 MVP is known as the most innovative and potent offensive weapon in basketball and the poster guy for basketball analytics. Here are the top 10 facts about James Harden that you might not know. Raised by a single mom in Compton. Growing up in Compton, California, in a time when crime and violence were at its peak, odds were stacked against Harden to make it in life. Raised by a single mom with 2 siblings, Harden turned to sports to keep him off the streets. Mom pushed him to be active as much as possible so he didn't end up hanging with the wrong crowds, even though she wasn't really interested in sports herself. James first started playing baseball and was supposedly a talented pitcher and baseman. The first time he touched a basketball, he didn't like the sport, as he was still too young and small to dribble and shoot properly. However, when he was around 10, he started playing in parks and had a hoop at the back of the garage, and that's where his love for basketball began. Harden is named after his father, but refuses to be called Harden Jr. Affected by the 80s crack epidemic, James Harden Sr. developed a drug and crime problem, and he was in and out of jail throughout his son's childhood. Harden never spent quality time with his father and recalled that he has never been really able to trust him or rely on him. James Harden Sr. would show up at his son's games here and there, but he never saw Harden Jr. written on the back of his jersey. Because his dad was not involved with his family and his drug problems, Harden always refused to be called James Harden Jr. Slow and asthmatic as a freshman, but knew that he was going to be a star. Even now, at the peak of his career, James Harden is not particularly fast. Despite a few emphatic dunks here and there, he's not an above-average leaper either, and it was even worse when he just started playing organized basketball. As a high school freshman, Harden was usually the slowest person on the court. Due to asthma, he was never in particularly good shape, and that's when he started honing his now famous handling and dribbling skills. He was also the best shooter on the team, didn't lack confidence, and was determined to get better as a player. So he wrote his mom a note one day. It said, "Could you wake me up at 7 and leave a couple of dollars? P.S. Keep this paper. I'ma be a star." His mother kept the paper, and her son fulfilled his promise. James Harden's beard was grown out of laziness. Dennis Rodman had crazy hair colors. Allen Iverson had cornrows. Jordan had the tongue wag. But maybe the most distinctive physical feature in NBA history is James Harden's beard. By his own admission, Harden last saw his chin clean-shaven in high school. He trimmed it short during his college and early NBA days, but then, out of laziness, decided to let it grow longer, and then a bit longer than that, and then the beard took a life of its own. It became his trademark look, and fans loved it and recognized him for it. Fear the Beard became a slogan. You could buy Fear the Beard t-shirts and souvenirs, and the nickname stuck. There have been many bearded players in NBA history, but when you say The Beard, you know it's attached to the name and face of James Harden. Harden thought he would be OKC's sixth man forever. In 2012, Harden became the second youngest winner of the Sixth Man of the Year award and thought he'd be in OKC for life. He liked the team, was great friends with Durant and Westbrook, and was in a great position to win every year. However, in one of the most baffling and mind-blowing ownership decisions in recent memory, OKC ownership decided to cut salary costs, not wanting to pay the luxury tax to Harden's expense. After the team reached the 2012 NBA Finals, James Harden was eligible for a contract extension. OKC wouldn't give Harden his desired $60 million over 4 years and offered him only $55.5, lowballing their rising star for $4.5 million, roughly $1 million per year. Harden felt some kind of way about it and decided he wants to be somewhere where they appreciate him in the way he deserves. OKC made a quick trade with Houston and disrupted a possibly most dominant trio in league history. Harden signed a $200 million deal with Adidas. In 2015, James Harden was playing the best basketball of his life and came second in MVP voting to Steph Curry, even though he was voted MVP by fellow players. He was also a sneaker-free agent and the biggest name on the sneaker market. After he played in Nike since the beginning of his career, he got an offer from Adidas for an astonishing $200 million over 13 years, basically the rest of his playing career. Nike had signed Kevin Durant to a huge endorsement deal a year before and didn't want to pay Harden as well, so he became Adidas' marquee NBA star along with Derrick Rose and Damian Lillard. At $14 million per year, his deal with 3 stripes was the 6th largest sneaker deal in basketball history, and the collab has resulted in 4 signature shoes so far. Harden followed his high school coach to Arizona State. Before he fulfilled his promise to become an NBA star, Harden delivered on a promise he made to his high school coach, Scott Pera. He told him he would follow him to any big-name university if he ever got offered a job there. As it turned out, Pera got hired by Arizona State, who had a history of successful basketball programs. A two-time California high school champion and a McDonald's All-American, Harden drew interest from most major colleges in the country. Still, he proved to be a man of his word and accepted the scholarship from Arizona State, where he would spend the next 2 years of his basketball journey. Harden's motivation in high school was fast food. James Harden was a McDonald's All-American in more than one way. Other than being recognized and selected as one of the best high school players in the country, he was also a huge fan of the fast food chain, and his high school coach, Scott Pera, used this to motivate Harden. When he first joined Pera's team, Harden was a catch-and-shoot type of player because he was physically weak and couldn't outrun or overpower anybody. In order to improve his driving ability and finish through contact, Pera made Harden drive through the paint while he waited for him with pads, hitting him as James tried to score. They soon made a bet. If Harden shot more than 6 free throws in a game, Pera would buy him hamburgers, and if he shot less, he would have to do sprints. Harden loved fast food, and he soon became prolific at getting to the line, which we can see in his game today. Harden wasn't even supposed to be born. After she already had 2 children, Harden's mom, Monia Willis, was trying to get pregnant and give birth to another kid. However, she almost gave up after a series of painful and emotionally draining miscarriages. After she successfully gave birth to James in 1989, she nicknamed him Lucky because there was a high chance she couldn't have another child and considered a miracle that James was born. The two always had a super close relationship, and his mom was in attendance of almost every game of Harden's career dating back to high school. Part owner of Houston Dynamo and Houston Dash soccer teams. America's growing interest in soccer didn't go by James Harden, who decided to invest in 2 soccer teams in the Houston area. After his last contract extension, Harden said that he feels like he could be in Houston for life and that he wanted to invest and deepen his relationship with the city. So, he purchased a minority stake in the ownership of Major League Soccer Houston Dynamo and the National Women's Soccer League's Houston Dash, as well as their home stadium. He became a third NBA player who invested in soccer teams behind LeBron James, who is a part of Liverpool's ownership group, and Steve Nash, who is a part owner of MLS Vancouver Whitecaps.